Let's go.
It's a brand new day. Yes, I'm reading things. Reading things my way.
Welcome to Reading Things My Way, episode number 3. But some of y'all don't know what in the whole hell of heaven been going on around here, so let me show you. Reading Things My Way Season 2. I don't know if you're ready for what you are about to see. All these people that have entered my life that are like family. And you're gonna get to see their life story and meet some of their parents and some of the important people in their life.
How y'all feel about going?
I wasn't thrilled about coming.
Y'all know about you? You want to go to this thing?
Not at all. How are we a church or we grew up together? My mom was in a coma for days.
Josh expressed, how it would be different because we have newer people this season.
I thought we were just going over to eat. No, Josh, don't bring that. Don't be doing no crazy mess for real.
So how you feel about you going to this Thanksgiving thing?
I'm excited and I'm a little worried.
Now, Lisa, as I call her, she had the bright idea of us moving into the house together.
These motherfuckers is crazy.
So far, I'm not really feeling it.
It's a little bit messy right now. Like, she's here permanently?
So I'm in my room, I'm like, okay, I know all these people are coming in the house. I wonder, are they talking and what's happening? Is everything running smooth? And just like you would guess it, Messy Vincent brings it up. And then all hell breaks loose. Well, Shamako and Kendall, they have a loving relationship.
You are always impatient. See, that stuff, when I'm talking, you make those kinds of faces. Shut up with it.
Things didn't go that well. Right now, it just look a whole mess.
When he slammed that table, I almost pissed.
Trauma is real.
So you couldn't do it. It's like being a manager of something and you don't never have the manager skills. I said, being in your shoes, you got to be able to take things happen like this, and he can't take that.
Mako is about to have a fit, and we're about to have another situation like it was at the Thanksgiving dinner.
Kendall's 37.
All grown man.
Not 17 and not 7. You cannot patty cake and give cupcakes over and over and over again to some 37-year-old boy.
Family counseling. The girls will come to me and tell me stuff by night. They always have. I wonder if they're gonna tell their mom that one of them or both of them feel as though that they cannot tell her certain things.
Zoe was like recently, it's like I don't know where she's at. There was a situation. I felt like Lisa didn't give me the opportunity to be the father.
Now, mentioning to her and having a real conversation is two totally different things.
That's why I was upset because you didn't come to me.
Did you ever apologize to her?
Yes, yes I did.
Reid, you said what you just said right now. That's not how I meant it. You didn't say I'm sorry for saying that.
I definitely think that the communication has to be tight when it comes to co-parenting.
Yeah, but I feel like Zoe's not honest with us. Before, he would it was either what he wanted or nobody could say nothing.
With Lisa being home, I know it's gonna change the whole dynamic of the house.
Are we triggers?
Are you?
What'd I do?
Sometimes, because sometimes you don't listen.
Now we are headed to go and see my mentor in the beautiful state of, actually his house is in New Jersey, but we fly into New York. We always stay in New York and then travel down to his house. It's about to be a great experience because I have never taken all of them with me to go and see my mentors. I'm gonna give them a little time in the city to do whatever they wanna do, but my main focus is to get to my mentor, the Arch, America's Black Prophet of God to the whole world, Archbishop E. Bernard Jordan. I need to talk. And when me and Bishop start talking, a whole lot of things start opening up. So let's see what was said.
York, baby, New York.
Bag is on the next flight.
Kendall. Listen, Kendall is a blonde. He's like a nerd, very smart, but then there's this blonde streak where all this dumbness come up from. Get missing, get lost, can't do this and can't do that. But he's smart. But I just think sometimes he get mixed up. And they told me that he somehow or another misplaced his whole bag. One bag he misplaced it. I don't know how the hell that happened, but that's Kendall.
Kendall done walked all the way over there. Lord, where's Kendall's bag?
So I have a surprise for the group. It is going to be something that they're not going to expect in the middle of Times Square.
Oh my God, they're gonna kill me. I'm always late to everything.
Now the instruction was for everybody to get there at a specific darn time. And guess who the instruction came through? The one that like to run everybody and every darn thing, but ain't never on time. Even while they taping me right now today. He was late getting here today. I called him, I'm just waking up. There's always something. Visit Terrell Buddha Hill. His watch don't work.
Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, right here. Perfect, right here.
That was great, great, great. And I haven't yet really gotten to where I want to get in life, but that visual is like a living vision board. I am on my way to producing or doing something, creating something that's gonna land my product or me, it don't matter. Whatever it is, it's gonna be out there in Times Square and everybody around the world is gonna be watching and enjoying.
Seeing Reid in Times Square was amazing. I was like, that's just my baby name. That was so cool. I never in a million years would have thought I was seeing somebody that I know personally in and out will be in Times Square. I'm so proud of Reid.
So, now it's time to go and see my mentor. So we go from New York, Manhattan, and we'll go down there into New Jersey. Bishop.
Hey, man.
Master Pop.
Bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you. It's good to see you. It's good to be seen and not viewed.
Right, exactly. That COVID taking folks out left and right. Bishop.
So first of all, how was your flight?
It was okay. Flight was fine. It was I don't remember. I was asleep.
You was asleep.
I'm asleep most of the flight. But I had to get here, and that is bad. Jesus, lamb. God, this is bad.
You know Jonathan makes all this stuff.
Jonathan, he's worth his weight. He's making his check.
Well, we can't say that too loud because then you can't get his head through the door.
It looks good. It looks good.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are a few things that I need to discuss, and I was waiting to be face to face to talk to you about.
Hi, Lady Jordan.
Hi, how are you?
It's so good to see you.
It's always good to see you and the family. I mean, you know, God has kept us, and I'm so grateful and thankful to God that He, by His grace and power, have kept each and every one of us. We have our health, we have our strength. Our children, you know, we praise God sometime, and sometimes we don't praise Him for them.
Having a conversation with Lady Jordan, I expect to gain some wisdom, some guidance, and just to you know, sit and chat with her, because I know her, but I don't know her. And I feel like having someone like her in my life would help me make some life choice decisions. So I'm looking forward to gaining that wisdom from her.
God has been good to us, so it's always a pleasure to see you and the family and Larry. I mean, Bishop and I, we look at you guys as family, you know.
Yes.
I mean, and what is so great is that it doesn't matter the distance.
Right.
You know, it's like, I just know Lisa is a phone call away. I know Larry's a phone call away. Bishop is a phone call away.
Right.
So, you know, I'm glad that you guys are here and to bless our home with your presence.
Oh, that is so.
So we're gonna have fun.
Yes, and I'm glad you said it because I have some stuff that I need to talk about. I need your perspective on some things.
There are a few things that I need to discuss, and I was waiting to be face to face to talk to you about. One thing is my daughter, my oldest, Exaria.
Okay. How old is she now?
She just turned 17 in September.
Wow.
Yeah, and I know you got 2 daughters. And
Yeah, I remember those ages.
well, how, it was bad? It was bad?
It can be interesting, and then at 18 they kind of sober up because then they know that you're
Jesus,
no longer.
Please, Jesus, please.
Because they know they're no longer, you know, they're on their own. You've actually fulfilled your obligation.
Okay, yeah. I hope that happened. I thought she was getting better. When she turned 17, she like calmed a little bit, but then she went into this other thing. But I'm gonna tell you about that. And then the other thing is, I got concerns about my little daughter, Zoe. You call her Zoe. She about to turn 15 in April.
Oh, these are teenagers. They're teenagers.
You know, I recently just quit my job to work for the Yay! To work for the NBN network. And so far, I can see that it was needed. But there's still a part of me that's like, am I putting myself on the back burner? Because there was a goal in mind for me to do with that. I was going to retire again at 10 years. So I only needed to work 6 more years and I would retire twice. Wow. So I don't know if I'm going to regret that or not. You know what I'm saying? So I want
the uncertainties of it all.
Yes, ma'am. The uncertainties of it all. But the benefits I see with my kids, that when I see them in the morning, their faces light up. Maybe not here recently, because I've been getting on there.
It's just a phase. It's like this too shall pass.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Because my oldest daughter, oh my God, she does a lot of, I'm gonna say, dumb stuff.
They were at that age.
Oh.
See, I can look back and smile now, but while I was going through it, it was hell.
Right.
It was very stressful. I mean, especially with daughters and stuff. I'm talking about maybe 15 years prior, but today I can imagine what parents have to go through, especially raising teenagers.
Right.
I mean, it's a whole new thing. I mean, what we did 15 years ago, you probably can't do the same thing.
Right.
I mean, it was so bad with me, I threatened, and I'm old school. So what I did with one of my, I'm not gonna say the name, but one of my daughters, I spanked her back in the, I beat the fool out of her. And then she went to the school to say, can I take my sweater off? And so of course it was whips on her. Of course, the school is a Catholic school. So the school they call Child Protective Services.
Really?
Oh, yes. I could tell you stories.
On Lady Jordan and Bishop
Jordan? No, Pastor Deborah.
Oh, my
Because at that time, Bishop was traveling, so I had to take care of the household, still assist in the ministry, and still raise my children, because I'm a firm believer that we as women, God has given us a special gift, and that is the gift to raise our children and to shape them. So I tell Bishop and her, I said, I'm not going to church tonight. I'm staying home because the children, they have school. Because I felt so that I was pastoring my children, pastoring how to get up early in the morning for school, making sure their homework was done, and that they're able to function as a teenager and to enjoy their life as a child.
Wow.
So getting back to this child, so they called and I got a phone call. They was coming. I said, oh, sure, come on to the house. And I'll never forget that day. I was nervous, but then I prayed. And I knew what I did was right, because I don't believe in spanking or beating my children in anger. I told her what she needed to do, and she just blatantly disrespected me, disrespected the babysitter, and I'm paying this babysitter. And they came to the house. It was a Black woman. She came, and she told me her credentials. She came into the house. We were in Brooklyn at the time. And when she came, I talked to her. They needed to know about this particular child. I showed them her room. She had her own room, her own space. And I said, see this here? And I said, this is it. We were living in a mini mansion at that time in Brooklyn. I said, so the child has all this, but can we see the other children? But I knew my rights as a parent. I said, you're not here for my other children. You're here for this one. And this is the only information I'm going to give you.
Right.
So I said, but come on down. We went into the living room. We finished talking. And then, but what I did before she left, I said, I have a word from the Lord for you. And I started prophesying to that woman. And I spoke into her life. I said, you have a son. And this son is so forth and so on. She said, her mouth was wide open. So I prophesied to her and everything. She did tell me that because they got this call, they had to do their research and everything, that my name was going to be in their system for, I think, like 15 years. My name did not purge out of the system until I became, I think, 36 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, it took that long for the system. And at that time, it was well over 10 years that my name stayed in the system and stuff. So anything that showed up that with my name, they will have to come out to check, because now my name was in the system. But I didn't care.
Wow.
I said, now, if you think you can do a better job than raising her than I can, then go right ahead. My parents, they were foster mother and father, my parents. And they raised children. So I knew the system. I said, if you feel like you can do better, go right ahead. Her clothes, I can get her suitcase, and she can go with you right now. I said, but I did what was right. And they told me, she said, you know something? We're not against discipline the child, but it's how you discipline.
Right.
And they said you should never discipline a child with I'm from the South, switch or belt and stuff. Use your hand on their backside, and that's basically it. But that day I didn't. I talked to her later. I said, what I do, I do it out of love. I'm just asking you to do your part. I said, you're not a toddler. You're not a child, 6, 7, 8. You're a teenager, and you should know better. I said, now that you have other siblings behind you that are looking at your action. I said, I can't tolerate that. For me to tolerate that, it's okay to be that way, and it's not okay.
Right.
I said, we all have responsibility. Your responsibility in this household is to get good grade and to be an example.
Lisa, I've been begging her to come up for a job, and she did it out the blue. I'm gonna tell you how it happened though. I was on with the patrons and Patreon, and somebody asked me a question. They said, how do you feel about something about Lisa and the kids? I said, you know, we love each other, we respect each other, but we are two different people when it comes to the parenting style. And I was being myself, it was just with the patrons. I wasn't on Larry Live, the big platform. It was just us. And I forgot that the cameras was on. And I just went on and on and on. I'm like, yeah, I don't know why she do. And I'm thinking she in the chat. So she would respond back, and she click the link, we go back and forth, and we let them see, you know, the reality, but she wasn't in there. So the fact she wasn't in there and I'm just going on and on, she felt like I was talking about her behind her back and undisclosed.
So you had a real good, you had a dumping session. And
didn't realize I was doing it.
You was dumping and you thought she was there. so she could respond back, and she wasn't there, so she heard it secondhand.
Right, when she woke up in the morning, she said, oh, he went live on Patreon, let me check. And when she watched, she was like, she sent me a long text. Let me see if I can find what she said. We text so much. But she basically was saying, I can't believe that you made that statement in front of all these people. And I'm one of the care pastors in the ministry. How people gonna look at me? And I said, Lisa, it ain't even that serious. I said, we regular people. We don't have to play the keep up the appearances game.
Yeah, but then you're kind of talking about the first lady.
She's not my wife, Bishop.
She's still the first lady. What other lady comes before her?
You got a piece of paper, I'll take this gum out my mouth.
The reality is there is no lady that comes before Lisa. It should be my mom. Now, I do great things for my mom, and I absolutely love my mom. I mean, but there's been some tension. So really, it should be my mom, but the reality right now, it probably is Lisa, because I'm always in the back of my mind thinking, is she all right? Is she okay? Wait a minute. Maybe it's my children. I think my children do come before Lisa. Yeah, it's my children. That's my answer.
I agree 100% with Bishop Jordan. Reid needs to find some place to dump because that was unacceptable. And if that happens again, that would not go over nice.
So getting back to your first thing about retiring, I think it's a good idea because your job is never going to pay you what your true worth is.
Right.
That's number one. Number two, I see you, Lisa, as a great entrepreneur. You have a great mind. God has blessed you. You're a beautiful woman and everything. And once you put your mind to do something, you can do it.
Thank you.
But
what you said about women, we are called to raise our children. That resonated with me. So now, that little reserve that I had, I was like, you know what, she's right.
You're investing in their life. It's just like
Right.
an investment. Like I invest in the stock market and stuff. But you got to do your due diligence.
Yes,
but what I'm doing, I'm investing in something that's mine, my child, my legacy.
Right.
So that's why, and I tell any parent, if they can, then do it. If there's a way that you can spend those times with your children, then do so. My children can never, ever remember them having to come home and I not be there. Or they know when mommy is worked. I probably was either at the office or by the time they got home, I was home. I was sitting at that kitchen table, working with them with their homework, talking to them about different things. So, and that was the gift that I gave them. And looking at my daughters now, my two daughters, they're giving their children the same gift that I gave them.
Wow.
So I'm grateful for that. I was reading this article by Alice Walker, and she was talking about in our mother's garden. And she said something which stood with me. She said, society and white America have seen us as the Black woman, as mules, that we carry the burden of the world on our backs. I said, wow. And she was talking about our grandmothers and our mothers, our aunts, our sisters and stuff, and the price that they had to pay. And she began to talk about how we as Black women, African American, we are artists. And it doesn't matter, we could be in a bad situation, but if we got our children, we got to make that thing work and make them, allow them not to see the ugliness of what we might be dealing with or going through. And I just thought that was very powerful. And reading the article, I said, wow, that is so true. The mules of the world, we carry the burden. I mean, whether it's in our family, in our community, or outside, even working outside on the secular market, because we as Black women, it's like we have these two faces. Like when we're in the work market, we got to prepare this way. We come home, okay, I'm mama.
Right.
So you keep where we have this dichotomy that we are living in these two worlds, and sometimes that can be very stressful, frustrating, and you're seeing us as women, obesity, we're stressful, heart condition, strokes, and everything. And I don't believe that's the will of God for us. When knowledge comes, when better shows up, it's for us to embrace it and to do it. So to say that with you retiring, I think that's going to be a great thing. Is it going to be easy? No, but you can make it work and stuff.
ma'am.
And what I'm learning in my 60 years is to begin to reach out to other like-minded individuals and stuff, and to realize that you're not alone.
So she's the first lady. There's no other lady that's gonna. She's the leading lady in your ministry.
I agree with that.
So
I understood. I apologized. I think, did I buy a gift? I can't remember.
But in a way that kind of diminishes her power.
Yeah, I could see her feeling that way, but I won't let that happen. I won't let nobody.
Yeah, but you kill her image in the eyes of the people.
Okay.
Right. So you're gonna need a safe place to dump. Like this would be a good place to dump.
Yeah.
Right. But you need a place where you can dump, but the people can't watch your process because everybody can't handle what's happening in your tent.
Okay.
So you see the tent, there's people that can love me if they see me come out of the tent, but they can't handle my nakedness in my tent.
Okay.
And so that was almost like a tent conversation.
She said, she didn't use those words. She said, that's a conversation that me and you had, we didn't have this conversation before, and you still running out there to work for the white man. That's what I said. And so you still running to work for the white man when you can work with me and help with the ministry. I said, not only that, the girls, they were in Florida without me. You brought them to me, and then she was the one that had the conversation because she thought I was going to say something about her moving in. I won't. That was like, I'm going to tell you, that was far from my mind. She said, I'm like, I said, maybe that does make sense. So she was the one that came up with the idea, and then I made it happen. And so when she moved June of 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, into the home, then...
Which was a godsend.
Oh, yes. And it was the best thing for the girls. But then she got with this job, and it became the military that took her away from the family all them years. That job took away from the family.
So, in one voice you said she's not your wife, in another voice you sound like you want her to be your wife.
No.
No, I mean, think because
I get it.
Because she wants to support herself. She don't want to depend on.
She told me.
Unless you are saying depend on me.
So but she can. She can.
So that it sounds like you want her to be your wife. On one hand, but then you said she's not your wife, but she's acting like your wife.
Oh my God, you know, too much.
I mean, think about it.
Reid has the benefits of a wife without a wife. I don't necessarily agree with that because I think people get Reid and I's chemistry mixed up with our interaction with each other. We hardly ever interact. So, I mean, maybe he's saying that because I may bring a female feel to the house, but other than that, we don't deal like that. So I don't agree with that. I think they're mistaking that with our chemistry from being around each other all these years.
Now, sometimes the bishop know what he's talking about. Sometimes he don't. How the hell I got the benefits of a wife, but ain't got no wife? Does that make sense outside the four church walls? That's church talk. Some switching. No, I do not. I got a woman who I had children with that was my wife, who is now doing what she's supposed to be doing as a mom and as a team player and co-parenting. That's it. She don't pay no bills. If I got, this only makes sense to me. Am I the only smart person in the room?
I think in my marriage, I might have worked outside maybe one time, and it was stressful for me because I had no help.
Gotcha.
And I had to find a babysitter for my daughters. I had to make sure that I get to where I needed to be by myself. And sometimes I think when the eye opener came, 12 midnight, I'm on the subway trying to get home. And I lived in a 2-fare zone.
Right.
That's when I said, Deborah, this is not the will of God for you, you know. And then paying the babysitter practically, I was working part-time, all my money. I said, this is not working. This is not adding up. 1 and 1 is not 2. But when the opportunity came so that I can become full-time, and I didn't have all the money, the finance that I thought I should have had, but what I had, I made that work. And God just blew over and multiplied it. Don't ask me how, but he did it. And I think it's going to be really good for your daughters to see their mother in that position of entrepreneurship and doing your own thing. Now you're working for
NBN Reid.
Reid. And what I found out in working, because I'm the CFO of the ministry and
What's
Bishop
a
Jordan,
CFO?
Chief Finance Officer.
Oh, finance.
Right. So I manage all of that.
Okay.
And Bishop Jordan, he's the CEO. And it was very challenging. I remember one year he tried to fire me. I said, how dare you?
See, that's the thing, Lady Jordan.
How dare you?
I work for Reid, right? And I know Reid. And he will fire you. So I'm not saying that he took me off my job. He didn't take me. I made a decision.
Your choice.
I made a decision. But in the back of my mind, it's like, I'm working for my ex-husband. What if he fired me? Then what? What am I supposed to do?
Well, number one, you got to look at 2 different entities. And I'm going to tell you the funny story about my whole situation. I'm working for the ministry. I pulled the secretary with me, and we're shopping because we needed certain things. When we got back, because Bishop Jordan did not know that I made a choice. The CFO made a choice to take care of certain things. When we finally got back in, he was furious. So he threatened to fire all 3 of us. And I told him, I said, you can't fire me because I quit. And I did quit. And I went home, I did my own thing. I started decorating, doing other things, you know. Fine. Find someone else that could do what I do. And he tried, and I think I was out maybe about a good 2 years. And when he asked me to come back, and I said, I'll come back on a volunteer basis because I'm not going to work for you. Because, no, I don't know. How dare you say that you firing me when I'm doing something for the ministry?
Right.
Because I did not, let me call Bishop Jordan to find out if this is okay. You have to trust the decisions that I make. If I'm in a position of power, then you got to trust the decisions that I'm making that's going to be the right decision.
Right.
And if they're the wrong decision, then you come talk to me. Don't just tell the whole staff. How dare you?
Wow.
But one of the things that I did have to learn to make the distinction, so in ministries, Bishop Jordan and my husband.
Right.
So with you, because you said NBN Network, and you said Reid, you got to make that distinction. And that distinction has to be, he has to know that there's a distinction. You know, when I'm working for NBN Network, I'm working not for you, I'm working for the network.
Right.
So, and sometimes that can be very challenging and stuff. I think some of our challenges that Bishop Jordan and I have had in our relationship is making a distinction, because with him in his mind, that Gemini, he feels as though that, okay, I'm in here, I'm working fine. We could talk anything about the ministry, anything about the finance, anything, decisions we want to make for the finance. But when I go in my bedroom, that's me time. When I'm in my bed, sleep, don't wake me up. Pastor, what was the figures for the day? Huh? That is the first thing away from my mind. So don't come to me. I like to keep things separate and apart, because yet we're in the same house, we're doing the same thing, we're working for the ministry, but I feel as though there has to be certain types of distinctions that have to be made.
Right.
So he has gotten better. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. But that's one of the challenging that I found. I think that might be one of the challenging thing that you might be confronting as well, because you said Reid, and there's a different distinction and different functionalities.
Right.
You know, if there's a problem, okay, did I do anything wrong concerning the business, or Are you upset with me because of what might have occurred in the household today with the children?
Got you.
It has to be separate, because if not, it's going to keep merging and mingling, and it's going to get all messed up.
Got you.
Because I can't bring, if Bishop Jordan and I have had an argument or disagreement, when I step foot in my office and talking to different people, I can't bring that same energy.
Right.
Because it's unfair to the individuals, it's unfair to the company and stuff. Leave it at home, because if you was working at a 9 to 5, you couldn't bring that there.
Right.
They're not even concerned of what you and him had, or conversation or disagreement. They're only concerned about you doing what you're supposed to do and getting the job done.
Right.
So I think you and Reid need to have a conversation. And even you have to do a contractual agreement.
Right.
Say, this is what I'm going to do, because you talked also about you want to date.
Yeah.
And how does that look like? You know, is he going to say, okay, Lisa, I know you supposed to go, but we got to get this done. You know, so I think it will be really good. The Bible says, out of all that get an understanding. So you know what you are here and what he is requiring of you as working in the company. And then you know, okay, this is the expectation. And I understand sometimes things can get a little blurred and go overtime or what have you. But you know, this is what we agreed upon.
Right.
Bishop and I, we went to a seminar. We was in this 9-month seminar. It was really, really good. And it began to...
Wait, you said 9 months?
It was 9 months. We met like every 3 weeks. It was like a weekend we would go. And it was like maybe almost 200 people. It wasn't a lot of us, but it was really good. And I never forget one Saturday weekend, the counselor, she got up because she knew Bishop and myself. She said, Deborah and Bernard, how many years have y'all been married? Now, we've been married, it had to be like maybe in the 30-something years. And he said, y'all can stand up. And we were sitting in the back. He was on one end and I was on the other end. And she was talking about relationships and what makes a relationship. She had no idea that we had a huge argument, a huge disagreement. And I wasn't talking to him and he wasn't talking to me. and she began to talk to us, and we had almost 300 people looking at us. And we were sitting in the back, so everybody had to turn and look at us. And she began to talk about certain things. And Bishop, now I'm very private. I'm the private person. Bishop is the one that's very open. Because I feel as though that everything don't need to be said out public.
Right.
You know, it's just like you don't show your underwears all the day, you know, even though you have clothes on. So certain things just need to be kept private.
Right.
Bishop said, well, me and my wife, we're not speaking to each other. I said, what? So Joyce, she said, huh? She said, okay, let's talk. What happened? Well, we had a big disagreement this morning, and Deborah is not talking to me, and I'm not talking to her. I said, that's right, we are not talking. So we went on. She said, okay. And she said, okay, what we're going to do, we're going to break. She told the class, we're going to break. And she said, you two come up here, come up. So she talked to us. And then she said, okay, did y'all make agreement? Because even in argument, there's protocols, there's rules.
Right.
She said, did y'all make an agreement to how long y'all going to not talk to each other? No. Now, I knew what the Bible says. Pastor, don't let the sun go down on you.
Right.
But that scripture was as far away from my mind as possible. And I guess for him as well. Y'all can argue and have a disagreement, that's fine. And she said, matter of fact, maybe even good. But what are your agreement and stuff? There's rules and there's protocols that must be followed. And so she said, Deborah, when do you feel like you can talk to Bernard? I said, it was like maybe 3 o'clock. I said, maybe 7 o'clock this evening I'll feel talking. And I went out and ate with some other individuals and stuff. And she said, okay. She said, Bernard, is that agreeing? Do you agree to that? He said, okay. And after that, I kept my word. And I talked to him. I said, when we get home, we'll finish talking. And I shared my feeling because he had started this company. And he felt as though that I wasn't 100% in. Well, how could I be 100% in when you didn't tell me about the company? You just threw me in. And that's when we learned about the world of agreement.
Right.
If you're going to do something, if you feel that this is good, you want to do, fine, but get my input. Do I want to do this?
Right.
How do I feel about it?
Right.
I'm not good in sales. I work great in the background. And finance, I'm good with those things, but don't tell me that I got to go out and make sales. I got to do this. That's not me.
Right.
I'm too old to do that. Shoot, let someone else do it. And you and
Right.
Larry need to come into that agreement, whether it's a written agreement or a verbal agreement. Say, this is what we're going to do. If I'm home, this is what I'm going to do. What is your expectation?
Right.
I'm home with the girls. I'm going to be doing this, doing that, plus working for the business. What else are you looking for me to do? So if there's ever a blow up, well, this is the agreement. This is what we agreed to do.
See, to that job, she can say yes, no, and not have to live with consequences. With you now, it's going to be 24 hours.
You know, that may be the reason why, because this is a strange conversation came out the other day. This was very weird. She said, let me ask you a question. It's a minute of another conversation about the girls. She said, do you think we'll ever get married again?
Okay,
I said, wait a minute. I said, why you asking me that? She said, now, Reid, I know you. She said, I know you. I'm walking around here as fine as I am. You mean it never comes in your mind? I said, well, yeah, of course it comes to my mind. She said, so how many years is it going to be? Are we going to end up back together? And I'm not lost for words, but I was lost for words. And I was like, I'm just trying to focus on being single and being myself and building this ministry and helping people. And she said, but so you're not even thinking about it? I said, no. I said, I'm still gathering data on myself. This is the first time I've been doing things for myself in my entire life. That just started 2017, and I had a good year of that.
I still love him. He knows that. He knows that I would be with him if he wanted to be with me. But we had a conversation, and I said, Reid, what do you want? Like, is 2 years from now, 3 years? He was like, I don't have the pieces. I was like, what? You're 43 years old. You tell me you don't have the pieces to put together. I don't have the piece for that. I said, well, let me tell you this.
Yes.
So then when we continued to talk, and I began to explain stuff because she was asking me certain things, very personal things. And she said, okay, so she said, sound like to me, you haven't lived. I said, well, maybe I haven't. And she said, well, when are you going to start doing that so you can realize who you are and what you want? Wow. And I said, well, I'm getting to that now. I said, but if I go and decide to live, what all y'all going to do?
So this is interesting. So you're asking her to commit to you, but you're making no commitment to her other than a paycheck.
I don't know. I think I'm giving more than a paycheck.
What else are you giving? Emotionally, you giving anything?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, she doesn't have her mom or her dad in her life no more. She's not really, she don't really have no family, so she's not going to be by herself.
So you're going to make a family with her?
I've already done that. So.
Done or doing?
I'm doing it. Really?
Right. So it sounds like, I think in this, and I'm 62, and I've been married for, this month will be 42 years marriage.
Oh, wow.
So I'm looking at it I'm looking at it through a lens of a 62-year-old baby boomer. Right. And I get it that you're in a different generation. But maybe you need to consider, are you afraid of commitment?
I'm gonna consider it. I don't know.
Because see, we're in a there are a group of people. My son, Prophet Joshua, said to me, he says, Dad, we are committed. He says, we are committed. I says, how is your generation committed? He says, we're committed to no commitment.
I understand his definition because that's the thing with Lisa. If I don't, on one side, maybe I am afraid of something that I'm open to discovering. But with Lisa, the way that we are, if I wanted or she wanted to have me and we can have that discussion and agree with that, and that's our commitment. So that I could do that if I want to, but I'm not scared of commitment in that area. But maybe there is something underlining that is beyond that I'm scared of, and maybe it has something to do with my relationship with my mom, because that's a relationship.
Yeah, because when you marry your wife, you marry your mother again. Your wife becomes some aspect of your mother pressed out, because you come through the body of your mother, and then you look for a wife to go into the body of another mother.
Yeah.
And you've made her a mother.
Yeah.
And in so many ways, you've made her just like your mother.
And she's been looking up to my mom all her life.
And whatever unresolved issues that there is with mother, it will show up in the relationship with the wife.
Okay, now that's probably
and then
now see, Bernard done got up under my skin now. I mean, he got me thinking, but they're doing too much. Let me talk and you just listen. It's not one of them days we don't go back and forward like this. But the reality is, it is the truth. I recently had a little glimpse. I said, is there a connection somewhere between the relationship with my mom and all of the women that raised me that I may have had difficulty with, and then a relationship with the mother of my children, and then send that duplication. And I even thought about that as relates to Lisa and her mom, their difficulty, and then some of the relationships that are shown between her, Zoe, and Azaria. Hey, let's look into it.
These are all female type relationships. That there's a cycle and a circle and a generational curse that you need to consider breaking. Yeah, because your daughter is your wife pressed out, and she has her grandmother DNA.
God knows that's true, Bishop.
I know my daughters don't like when I say this. And my son's children are not old enough yet. But when my daughter would discipline the children, and the children would cry. And I said, I understand. She made me cry too. We both got the same enemy. And my daughter would say, don't say that, Dad. And I said, it's because I understand. You make them cry. You made me cry in so many ways. So it keeps, it just goes from one generation to the other. But if you listen to the conversations that your mother had about you, which you're doing the work, you listen to the conversation that your wife is having, your former wife. But in a way, she's like your housewife because she's in the house doing wifely duties. Except for one thing.
No, it's more than just that one thing.
But and then you have your daughters. There's a common language there.
There is.
And so what are all of them saying?
Well, we went to family counseling, and in that session, I was able to see a lot of. I was able to see that Reid really don't know me. I know him,
but he doesn't know you.
He doesn't know me because when we got married, I was 18, and I feel like he still sees me as this teenager that he married. And I said that in the counseling session. I said, you don't know me. I'm 42 years old.
He doesn't know Lisa, the 42-year-old woman.
Right.
Because as you get older, your needs do change.
Right.
You know, what that 18 Lisa wanted,
Right.
I loved it, totally different from that 42.
Totally different. I'm going to start dating because I don't need to put my life on hold.
No, it's unfair for you.
Right. And then he was like, well, I don't know who you're going to find. I said, no, you're going to have the problem. You're not going to find a female like me that understands you, understands what you need and all these things and be fine with it, okay? I understand him and I know how, but me, I can adapt. And if I'm in a relationship with somebody, it's not going to be all about them. They were going to be, because everybody I say, oh, you're so pretty, you're so beautiful, you're so, I would like to have that in my life.
You're a vibrant, beautiful woman.
But I want to talk to you, your prophetic side, because I remember when you first met me, I still remember what you said to me. So that's what put me, I ain't gonna put it out there because I don't want people to go off. But I remember what you said when we was at Prophetology, that 10-hour service. Oh my
10
God.
plus.
Oh my God. And that was my first service going back to church too. And I said, oh, they breaking me in. But we was there and I remember what you said. So that kind of put me in a place. Then I said, you know what? But if Reid don't know what he want and I know what I want, then it's time for me to move on. Like
the Bible says, how can two walk together except they agree? You're on this path and he's on this path. You know, and usually we as women we know
already.
We know. And once you get a certain age as a woman, you don't have time for the foolishness. You don't have time to wait. Okay, what are we going to do? If we're going to make this thing work, let's get started.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Y'all been living under the same roof for how long?
It's going on a year and a half now, I think. But I didn't move there for us to be together.
Right, it's for the children.
I was looking at some old pictures of ours on Facebook, because you know Facebook keeps all your stuff. So I was looking at some old pictures, and in all of these pictures we were married. And so I said, I wonder, would he? So then that's when we had a conversation. I said, I've been doing some soul work. I need to ask you a question. You know, I just need an honest answer. And then that was the answer he gave, that no, his words were, I need the data for that. And I was like, nigga, what? What data?
He didn't clarify that.
I need data for if I want to be married. I believe, this is what I believe. I believe Reid is at a space where he feels like he can have whatever he wants, whoever he wants, and all these things. But I don't feel like, I know for a fact he's not going to find anybody else like me. Because my dad was like him. It's like I was groomed at a young age to be his wife. Because my dad was just like him.
Wow.
Like the strange stuff that he does and the spirituality and all that kind of stuff. So when my dad needed space, he would go in the bathroom and shut himself in the bathroom for hours. And nobody bothered him. Nobody did. And we didn't think it strange and nothing like that. And when I married Reid, he would shut himself away for hours. And I wouldn't bother him. So it's the same thing. And I know his quirks. I know what he doesn't like. I know he likes his space. I like my space too. It's just things like that. And I said, and when I started thinking, I said, there is no woman in America that would put up with that. I mean, nobody. Not unless they just want his money. But that's about it.
Because you know the man.
Right, I know the man. Before he became Larry Reid, I know him. But he doesn't know me.
Because he still
sees me from way back when. That I got to protect her and no.
And you're able to protect your own self. You've been
right.
Out. I think, Lisa, I like the idea of you dating and exploring that.
I thought you would be opposed to it.
I like the idea.
I have a lot of people in my inbox. A lot.
I am shocked. I can't believe she's telling me today. I really can't believe it. I'm really shocked. Like, I was not expecting that at all.
I've been told Lisa to start dating. I don't have no problem with her dating because she feel like she got to be with somebody. I mean, hell, she with me for 159,000 years, blank, then she with somebody else, then blank, and now she back in my house. Surely, she just cannot sit still by her darn self.
They like the chase.
Really?
Yeah, men like chase. You know, the chase, I mean, the thrill of the chase.
Okay.
And I think you need to, you know what you want.
I need to shake the table.
Yeah, if it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. God, and see, my philosophy is God is always in control. And God is going to do whatever he has purpose to do in each and every one of our lives and stuff. You know what you want. It would be different if you, I don't know if I should. I don't know, I don't hear indecisiveness in your voice. I hear surety. I hear certainty. This is what I want, whether it's with Larry or without Larry, someone else.
And that's another thing. We've never dated. Reid and I never dated.
And so you want to have that experience.
We have never, we got, when we would date, it would be at the church. Like we would meet each other at the church and he had to preach or we do.
And you want those, you want those things in your life to have that experience. Like Bishop and I, we never really had a true honeymoon. So what we do now, whenever we travel, that's why I think one of the other reasons we travel a lot prior to COVID, is that we would travel and we would make the best of those moments together because everything was church, God, prophecy. I mean, that was our life and our honeymoon. I shared it on streaming. I said, we went to Oklahoma. He was job interviews. How do you go on a job interview on your honeymoon? And then I went with him on the interview. But I think you need to experience that and see how that feels and stuff. And then just see what Larry thinks about it, Or he may have something to say, he may not. But you're doing what Lisa wants.
Right.
It's almost like I'm talking to you and I see the flower that's there, that's on the inside of it, and it's just unfolding. And you're going to realize, Lisa, that not only that you can, this new path that you are venturing on, that you can either go that way and you can still maintain what you need to maintain because God has groomed you in such a way in order to take care of whatever needs to be taken care of. You need to make sure you keep proper boundaries.
Right.
And that would be my counsel to you or my conversation with you. Boundaries. Boundaries are very important in everything. So you'll know and he'll know, the house will know, your daughters know, and just have a conversation even with your daughter. Say, mommy is going to start dating.
Okay.
So it won't be a surprise. Well, who's this? This is mommy's friend.
It's your uncle. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Even in this season, do a lot of writing. I talked to you something about journaling because I feel it's going to bless so many other individuals that are finding themselves on some of the same path that you are, we have children together, but we're divorced and, so forth and so on. But I think it's just going to bless you. I oftentimes look at my daughter who was divorced from her husband and they went their separate paths. She started dating and everything. And then her ex moved from California back to New Jersey because they had children and he wanted to be with the children. And she was going to counseling. He was going to counseling. And they just kept proper boundaries and stuff. And the next thing you know, Kenny, he had another plan, unbeknownst to Naomi. And he finally said, well, it's late. I'm living in central New Jersey. Is it possible that I could sleep on the couch? He just slowly eased his way back in. And next thing I know, they was talking about getting married back again and raising the children. Right now, their eldest daughter is 21. They just had a son. Nate is 3 going on 4. And he has his spirit business, and things just exploded for the both of them. Wow. She's speaking at the UN, traveling overseas, representing the U.S., and he's doing his own thing. So it's a path.
Right.
But the path, I always say all paths are going to lead to where you need to be. Some take it directly, some take the scenic route. But whatever path you're on, you're going to get where you need to be.
Gotcha.
And you're going to land. And you're going to be happy.
Okay.
Because you're doing what Lisa wants. Because you said 18. It's like I got married when I was 19. And sometimes I find myself, I'm going out by myself. But why are you going out by yourself? Because that's what I want to do. You're not the boss of me. You're not my father. So I'm only a phone call away. Maybe give me a place I can hang out on the weekends. Come down and say, yes. So that would be great
because as I'm talking to you, I'm eating it up because, my parents are not here.
Oh, wow.
Both of my parents are deceased. So it's kind of hard to navigate through life sometimes when you don't have that wisdom from your parents. And I look at you as a mom sometimes.
Thank you.
And Bishop Jordan as a dad, because y'all are like loving people and give such great advice. And I am so glad you told me that I could date.
I tell him sometimes, I said, Bishop, sometimes, you know, you're my friend today. No, we're just friends. And I tell him, I said, sometimes, I said, I'm your only friend because, you know, you don't have too many, you don't really have friends. They just like to be with you because you're the prophet. So, you know, we laugh and joke. But yeah, that'd be great. Follow your heart. At the end of the day, I always tell people, allow the peace of God to rule in their heart by the Holy Ghost. If that peace is there, then you move forward that there. But again, making sure you don't
you have to
all
weed out the ones that want to be with you because you're Reed's ex-wife. They want to be with you because of this XYZ.
But you have enough wisdom on the inside of you.
Right.
You know, and I just think Lisa, the woman, is coming forth.
Yes.
You're going to have your own voice. You're going to have your own peace. You're going to have your own say so. Right. Not saying that you don't now, but it's going to be seen more so.
Right.
And it's going to come more in the forefront as never before. Because you're a powerhouse. You could Larry could not have been attracted to you if it wasn't there. But I just see it's coming forth the more. You're going to bless so many people. And you're going to help so many other individuals that are finding themselves in crossroads and not, should I go left, should I go right, what should I do? You're going to have the answer.
Right.
And they're going to be able to drink of your well of wisdom.
That's good.
Yep. Wow. But you're good. And Larry may get a little bit upset, but you know, what the heck? I think sometimes it's good. Just put some fire. That's my brother. I love him. I love him. I love him so much. But he just needs a little fire, you know. Let's turn the fire up.
I agree.
And don't let him just go, you know, in and out. Never let him know what all you're doing, you know.
Right. Well, I have prerequisites anyway.
Yeah.
You have to be a certain height. So that rules out a lot of men these days. I don't know what happened. There's a lot of short men in the world. But other than that, I mean, I think I can manage.
Just navigate and look and see. You may say, okay, I'm good. Or you may say, you know something, this can work.
Yeah.
Let me, you know, let's date and let's see where this goes.
And then you have your daughters. There's a common language there.
There is.
And so what are all of them saying that seems to reverberate, or you know, that says, "Wow, I've heard that before"?
It's that I'm too hard, and Bishop, I am not hard anymore. Lisa says I'm not hard like I used to be, but the girls still think I'm really hard.
And how did your mother think about you?
This is the thing. I'm just finding out from the documentary. The documentary, I listened. There were some things we aired, some things we didn't air. And so I heard about the things that wasn't aired. And it's like she doesn't know who I am at all.
Well, she knows who you are, but she knows it through her lens.
Okay.
She has a version of you. Your mother, how can I put it? Your mother evidently had a path for you, and then you had a path for you.
Yes, that's exactly.
And she knows the path that she had for you. They wanted you to be a part of a denominational church that they were in and continue in that tradition.
Yes.
You broke from that tradition.
Yes,
I'm
the first one.
You're the first one to break from the tradition. Your daughter is now breaking away from your tradition.
Yeah.
She can only do that because you break from tradition. Right. So you're creating the break from the family tradition. So if you become a saint, then your daughter becomes a sinner. If you become a sinner, then your daughter gets to become a saint.
Oh, Father. Oh, Lord.
A matter of fact, in some journeys, they teach that the second born And you may put this in or not, but that the second born, if the daughter is a second born, if the mother was a harlot, the daughter will end up being almost like virtuous.
Wow. And
If
maybe that's what we're seeing in our children.
And if the mother was a saint, the daughter becomes like a harlot.
Well, see, that's what we're dealing with then, because see, Lisa was a saint. I was a harlot before I got saved. But we've been saved for so many years. And it's like our children's trying to discover stuff. I'm like, we didn't do, when Lisa, I say all the time, we said, we didn't even do that. We didn't do that.
But your mother didn't go off into a Pentecostal route.
So my mom.
Yeah.
Right? She was Baptist.
She was Baptist. You went someplace speaking in tongues.
That's right. That's
Undo
true.
my bow tie, he tied my bow tie. Oh my God, what did my son get mixed up in? Right? Break it. So you went from being church, sound like, from what I saw in the document, to extreme holy roller.
Yeah, that's true.
Deliverance, talking in tongues, prophesying. And I understand that because I did the same thing with my mother. I mean, we were in the Disciple of Christ church, and I went and started prophesying, and I would go back to the Disciple of Christ church again, standing up prophesying and speaking in tongues. Today, that church has prophecy, speaking in tongues, and everything.
Well, your spiritual father had a revival band that came down through the Baptist church. My mama was carrying me. She got filled with the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
And she started prophesying, but she stayed in the Baptist church. When I got saved and started speaking in tongues, prophesying, I joined the church by a musician that was Disciples of Christ. So I was interrupting their service with that.
Yeah.
And then I went apostolic, and it was just totally opposite. And that's when they really thought I was crazy.
Yeah. So I get that. And so you're following your life path, which your parents ended up discovering who you were.
Yeah, I think now they understand.
They discovered, like my mother ended up becoming a member of my church eventually. And that was done because my father made that choice. And my mother ended up becoming a member there, became a minister there, because she always taught Sunday school, loved the Lord, but came into the fullness of God. And that's like leading, but it's no different than Jesus. You know, Mary and Joseph didn't quite understand who Jesus was, and they lost him for 3 days, and he was sitting there talking with doctors and lawyers. But the power of Jesus is that he became subject unto them. And I think in a lot of ways, you have to begin to discover, how do I begin to honor them and become subject to them, and yet maintain who I am, but they feel my subjection and my honoring of them. And so my mother, I took care of until she left life.
I think that's the reason, that's how I honor and subject myself to them. I consistently take care of them every month and have made them debt free.
And that's honorable. And that's the biblical pattern, that when we are children, our parents take care of us, but the moment you become an adult is when you're supposed to take care of the parent. And it's the giving back. And that's good, that's excellent that you're doing that you share in their life. And we are supposed to honor our mother and father. And when we look at the word honor, that word honor actually means pay.
I believe that.
That's why you get honorarium.
Yes.
You pay your mother and father that your days may be long.
Yes.
And honor your mother and father does not come with a condition.
Right.
It's a commandment.
That is interesting, because my father, after the documentary aired, Mama was feeling a certain kind of way. And Daddy, he wasn't. And
well, I would feel a certain kind of way. That's your. Now I'm going to say this. The documentary was very deep.
Yeah.
And as your mother being the matriarch of the family, A man cares about his work in the world. A woman cares about her family.
Right.
You can't talk about a mother and her children.
Yeah.
Now, you and your mother may have tension, but I'm telling you right now, your mother's fighting anybody that say anything about Larry Reid.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not talking about my son.
Oh,
This is
no.
my baby, right?
She's not gonna have that.
But then you'll hear a part of the documentary where people says that I believe everybody in the family has been molested at one point. That's a reflection on the matriarch.
Yeah.
That where have I failed in covering my hen house?
Mm.
And now I feel exposed.
Mm.
That's a wound that only God can heal.
Oh, Jesus, I didn't think about that.
But that's real.
Mm.
I felt it. I said, woo.
No.
But I felt it because I said, what would it be like if everybody I'm discovering, oh my God, my children have been molested by, whether it's an uncle, a cousin, a family friend, and I was not aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel guilty by not being aware of it. And then I feel guilty if I was aware of it and said nothing.
Yeah.
And then it begins to have me reflect on if molestation happened in my life, how did I process it, or how did this happen on my watch? It's a work, and it's a work that needs a professional counselor and someone that can be able to walk through. It don't need prayer. It don't need a moment at the altar, but we already have that. It needs someone just to help process the story and manage the narrative in each person's life, to create an open door that now that this is up, we want you to come forward, but not come forward to condemnation, because there's no condemnation to them that are in Christ Jesus, but come forward for wholeness for the entire family unit, to be whole.
But I didn't looking at that documentary, I didn't realize that's what I was doing. I thought it was just about me telling my story, but I knew it would help other people. I didn't even think about until I saw my oldest sister and my niece and telling that, and then they started telling their story. I was like, oh my Jesus, this is way bigger than me. So now we're gonna have to make part 2 and 3. But one of the things you said about a pattern, me breaking the mold, and then like what my daughter's doing, cause what she was doing, okay, she snuck a boy in one time. I told you about that. And then one of the boys, I had just heard his name, and I looked at her and I said, do not deal with this dude, he's not good. I might as well told her to deal with him. She invited him into the house, snuck him in the house, he tried to rape her. Then she finally cut him off. Then this recent thing, she had been giving our address out to drug dealers, and they had been throwing marijuana, paraphernalia, grinders, and the rollers over the fence, and she would go out there and get them, and I caught her smoking weed in the house. I smelled it. The only reason why I know is because Junior and Eddie, because they smoke weed. Because see, Lisa don't know the smell of weed. So when we were trying to discover it, it's funny watching her trying to figure it out, because she didn't know. But I wouldn't have known, because I didn't smoke weed either. But because of Junior and Eddie, I knew. And 6 days prior to us discovering it, I smelled something upstairs. I said, no, wait a minute. Actually, I was downstairs, and the spirit said, go upstairs. So I said, Kendall, go upstairs. But he went, and I said, no, let me go. And I went behind her, and I was walking. I said, you smell that? And I said, some smells like weed, like covered up weed. And in the guest room, when my mom and them come one day visit, the door was closed, which normally is open, and the shades were pulled when that's normally open. I said, now somebody done been in here. And so I questioned my children. I said, if y'all smoke, first I said, y'all smoking weed in the house, if you're smoking weed in the house, I'm going to kill you. And no, Daddy, no, they're laughing. Oh, you just somebody killing us. We'll never do nothing like that, All right. So then a few days later, I smelled it again. And I said, Because Junior had came over, and sometimes Junior, if he in his car, he'd smoke weed. That's hot boxing. So when you get out, you smell it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, well, maybe because he came over. Because that's what Lisa was saying. Lisa was saying when I first addressed the girls, well, Junior came over. So I'm like, all right. So this next day, we were editing. And I came out of the theater room and I smelled it. I said, I know this is weed and it is in my house. So I told Lisa and asked Lisa to go and search the girls' room, but she was doing a session with the members. But she ended it so she could. Kendall went up there. Zaria lied. Oh no. She went through. I ain't talking about this lie. Kendall goes in her room. Zaria, something does not smell right. What are you doing? The shower's on. Oh, I'm just getting out of the shower. And he said, step out here. And she's like, so you smell that? Yeah, it does smell like weed. I wonder where that's coming from. All this acting. I mean acting. And she get that from Lisa. I got a story to tell you about that. But then when she went through all that and Kendall came back and said, she said, I said, Zari's lying. I was doing something on the computer and Marco had came over. I said, Marco, go get your goddaughter and get the truth out of her. She lied to him. So then Lisa comes in with some menthol herb, like cigarettes. Said, this is what it is. I said, Lisa, she handed you that? She said, yeah, and she said, this is what it was. I said, she's a liar. I said, smell this. She said, there ain't no smell on it. That don't smell like what I smelled. I said, because it's not it. I said, your daughter's lying. So she just started hollering her name because she's getting upset. And had them both come down. So both of them coming in the room. And when Zara came through the room, I looked at her. I said, sit down. And Zoe came through the room. I said, you've been smoking too. I mean, it was just that clear to me. And long story short, it all came out. It was a shoebox with, all this different stuff. We called the cops. We called the cops to come get the box. Because see, let me tell you the mistake Lotley made with his child. He would get in trouble with the law and they'd go get him out of jail 2 times when now he in jail without a bail and can't get out from the murdering that girl. Now, same thing happened with my sister's son. He stole the car while they sleep, wrecked it, totaled it. So he stole the car, wrecked and totaled the car, and y'all ain't calling no cop. So I keep saying this pattern of the parents they try to cover and protect their kids and they still end up for wrecking it all up. I said, I ain't doing that. And I told Zari that last year, I said, I'm the parent that will take you down into the jail. That's what I told them. And so we called the cops. Cops came and talked strong to her. And she looked like it startled her. I also called her boyfriend on FaceTime and asked him, did you know? Because I just talked to him the other week. Did you know my daughter was smoking weed? Yes, sir, I knew. And I said, why didn't you tell her not to do it? I said, didn't I tell you that if you're going to be my daughter's life and you know the call and the purpose that's on her life, that you should be in partnership with me and bringing that. But he said, I told her I didn't like it. And then he said, I don't like a girl to smoke weed. I said, oh. So I said, Zari. And she said, yeah, he told me not to. I said, you the pastor's child. Why this boy, who mama ain't in his life, it got better sense than you got, so I'm going off. And then I'm looking at the phone. I said, wait a minute. This your boyfriend, but who are these other boys you talking to? I said, wait a minute. I said, all right, you using this boy because he's a good boy. Play basketball. He does good on the team. He's a good guy. He's the kind of guy Lisa would choose for her. But she usually choose these thugs. I said, you're using this boy because this is the boy that we like for you while you having the other conversations with the boys you really like. Mm-hmm. And that boy face froze. So now Zara's mad at me because he broke up with him.
So you broke up the good boyfriend.
I did. But Lisa said it looks like that has woken her up because I told her, I said, you smoking that weed at 17-year-old on the 17-year-old brain is not good and it's gonna cause you lose what's good for you. Yeah. And that boy was good for her. So I think that she's sort of waking up. And Lotlier's daughter, when they got in the fight, it was all about because his daughter told her mom that told Lotlier that told me that Azar was smoking weed. So this weed thing is a whole issue. But what you said, I'm wondering if do I just need to, because I don't want to create the kind of relationship that me and my mom have. I don't want to duplicate that with my children. So I'm trying to figure out how I need to move. Should I just?
So it's already created. It's in. It's already. The scenario is already happening. So now we have to look at what is some of the work that you may have to do to get that undone. I want you to consider a thought that you meet no one but you. Right? You meet no one but you. Everyone that you meet is some form of you pressed out. So your Alisa has brought out a very good point. How many people around you that smoke weed?
Oh yeah, Junior smokes weed.
So
Eddie smokes weed.
If you think about that, right, then you're smoking weed. Because they're in your life.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I learned some of this when I began to do some AA meetings. I never had, really consumed alcohol, and I wasn't an alcoholic. But I had the symptoms of an alcoholic because my father was an alcoholic.
My dad was too.
And the only difference was I didn't get drunk. I don't even know what it is to be drunk. But I had all the symptoms of an alcoholic, and they called it a dry drunk. Wow. I had all the behaviors, but that's because I had lived with an alcoholic all my life. So I had taken it because the person that was in my life was an alcohol. So it was like me taking it because of the relationship and the bonding that was there. So your father was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Then you bring people in your life that is tied tightly into your life on substance. Then you're only reproducing that in your children. Jesus said something very interesting. He said, the prince of this world has nothing in me. And so Satan can take his life. He laid it down. When you clear that it's not in here, in you, then it don't exist in your world. Because it has no ground to stand on. So that's kind of interesting saying that, well, Junior take weed, and my father honors Junior. My father loves Junior.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna do what he loves. That's still an adult. I'm just following a pattern. And that's one of the challenges that we have, because, and again, we don't want to make smoking weed wrong.
Yeah.
We don't want to make Junior wrong.
Right,
we don't want to make Eddie wrong. Right. But you've got to look at these factors. And because the work we do, we receive a lot of different people in. We see people that are in alternative lifestyles.
Yeah.
All these type of things. We are a hospital. And sometimes our children end up becoming like the patients we serve.
Now that will answer me Lisa's question. We're like, we don't know what's going on with it. We ain't never did this stuff they doing.
Yeah, but you're dealing with the people.
We've always dealt with the people.
And you're dealing with, and that's the danger. Now, what a lot of the rich do.
Yes.
And that was one of the things that we did with ours, is we sent our children away to boarding school.
Now we did consider that. We looked all the way into it in Canada.
And sent them so that they would be groomed for the future that was calling them, because we saw that the accessibility of the people that we were ministering to, they were becoming like the people we were taking in.
Whoa. I never thought about that, as smart as I am. I never thought about that.
This is why a coach is important.
Right, yeah,
Because
blind spot.
Looks at your blind spot.
Yeah, I never thought of, wait till I tell Lisa.
The coach looks at the blind spot.
I have never thought about that. We just looked at me, Lisa, Marco, Latrice, look at what we done. Cause we upheld a standard for years until that, and they all let that standard down except for me. Those 3 years, but they came back to themselves.
I really hope that each and every person that is around me is watching my life, closely. When it comes to my wrong decisions, when it comes to my failures, to the things that's difficult for me, to the things that come easy for me, and somehow or another extract out of my life what they need for them to be at the top of their game and their best version of themselves. Because usually the person that always saying something about what somebody got going on, commentary and giving advice. I myself need advice, and I'm so glad that I'm able to bounce things off of my mentor. And I'm really glad that Lisa has had her first sit down with Bishop Bernard Jordan's wife, who I love to death, Lady Deborah, prophetess, pastor. Which one is it? They always got so many titles over there in Zoe Ministries. You bring a spoon. Spoon leader, brother, the hell? What's so many darn titles? But anyway, I'm so glad that Pastor Prophetess, Ambassador, First Lady, King's wife, Queen, Deborah Jordan, I hope I covered all the titles, had an opportunity to sit down with Lisa and give her the wisdom that only she can give. You better make sure you got somebody in your life you can talk to and get advice from, so you don't be walking around here dumb. Now, I'm gonna tell you what the truth is. All of us got smart parts and dumb parts. Some of y'all got more dumb parts than smart parts. So for those parts that are dumb, you need people that you can bounce stuff off of. I'm trying to tell you, thank God I got that.
Let's go. It's a brand new day.